So I thought I would illustrate a new strategic approach, and I've chosen to emphasize a different aspect of Renaud's strategy. Okay, and that is the dynamic payout. He himself has said that his strategy works even if he just chooses random numbers or doesn't follow the hot numbers, just switches at whatever whatever choice he makes. It's just, in other words, he doesn't have to follow this system that he does. He says he follows it because he likes it. Well, okay. What I'm doing is focusing on the dynamic payout, the 0 and the 2. Okay, so I'm back here to the original merge street. I'm going with the principle that bet selection doesn't matter. What matters is what we do with uh, our recovery and the amount that we bet. How we approach a recovery and the amount that we bet. And the crucial part about it is when we choose to fight and when we choose not to fight, we choose to retreat. Okay, and I think that is like so super crucial to the success and failure of all of our systems, because usually what happens is we fight when we should be retreating and the wheel crushes us. And so I think that number one, this system that I have here, this merge street that I set up, which has a certain charm to it. Yeah, I mean, Septicus pointed out, right, that it's not, a split is more efficient. So okay, that's true, but I'm going to go with the dynamic payout of Renaud and say that's something that I want to emphasize for an edge, and I also want to work with a street, the only street that you can get, the only four number. I mean, this is the only configuration like it on the whole board. So I'm going to work with this. Since bet selection, I'm going to go with the fact that bet selection does not matter, because I'm thinking. I mean, sure, Mr. Perfect and Mr. J, the Misters twins, they can have a thing about being able to choose better numbers, and that's quite possible. Okay, it's quite possible because I mean, there are governing forces that uh, operate in roulette. Otherwise, the law of large numbers would not exist. Okay, but the what our critics keep telling us, even though they don't use these words. In fact, it takes one of our friends to tell us this, and that is Harry J. That the law of large numbers, the force that generates the law of large numbers, this equal distribution force, it is inaccessible to us because it is the variation, the variations, the standard deviations, is too great. There's just these wild runs and wild things that occur that it's not a force that we can corral. It's not something that we can capture. It's not something that we can hold on to. I mean, and so what Harry J says is that the best thing we can do is play the peaks and the valleys. In other words, play the extremes. Okay, well, the way I choose to play the extremes is I choose to surf around with it. Okay, and if I was to name this betting method something, I would name it like the mouse method because I'm focusing on a 37 spin window. Okay, that's all I really care about is what happens in 37 spins. Okay, and it's all about perspective. I used to think that I could reset my session and start a new one. I think that's utter nonsense. Also, not only does bet selection not matter, restarting a session doesn't matter either. I mean, maybe it matters psychologically that you walk away from the table ahead on chips, and even though you're down overall, you had won a little bit more, you made a little dent, and you walk away. Psychologically, that makes a difference. It makes a difference in statistics regarding roulette. Well, maybe if you're playing a real wheel, but I mean, even that doesn't count either. I mean, sure, it spins while you're gone. Okay, good point that Harry J and Pales makes that the wheel spins when you're gone. But that doesn't matter either. It's the same thing as an RNG seeding, reseeding. It doesn't matter. Statistics are statistics. They're going to be what they are going to be, and walking away from the table doesn't change that. If you have an eye in the sky or something, yeah, they're messing with you, or you need to change casinos or something. I mean, that's different. But just norm. If you're just talking about regular, ordinary statistics, doesn't matter. We leave the table. So I've actually been staying at the same table and just adjusting the way that I approach my bet sizing and the way I set my view on this 37 spin window. Just adjusting it based on how things are progressing, and it's all about perspective. And I found that there's a way to retreat. There's a time to retreat, to surrender some of our profit, and there's times to be aggressive and fight for our profit. And you have to know when to fight, and you have to know when to retreat. And so it's like the mouse method. I'm just focused on these four numbers. That's the only thing I look at in the whole board. I don't care about anything else. And the small 37 spin window, I respect the law of the third. It's a fact. It's a true statistical phenomenon, and I respect it. So that when we get to 37 spins, that's a huge benchmark where certain numbers can be sleeping. If we haven't gotten a hit, we track our hits. If we haven't gotten a hit in 37 spins, or we're getting close to 37 spins, the chances of our number sleeping is greater. And I'm just going to say that statistical sleeping status is sort of dangerous, potentially dangerous to our game. And so that's what I'm treating that as. Like in the ocean, if you think about the beach, where you go out for a bit. Okay, you go out for a bit in the ocean, but then it drops down. Like all of a sudden, the floor of the ocean is just takes this dive, downward. Like, I'm trying to think here. It's like X. All of a sudden it goes at a um, this huge. All of a sudden, you're no longer up here on the surface anymore. You know, all of a sudden the floor of the ocean is like way down there. Okay, and that's what I'm calling the 37 spins. Once you hit 37 spins and you come off of that, there's this potential drop, and we don't know if the floor has dropped out on us or not. And so I'm just using that and just focusing on it to keep it simple, and then resetting that window from time to time, at specific times, resetting and doing the equivalent of what I used to do when I would restart a session, but all I'm doing is just changing my perspective. I'm just changing the perspective on the window, resetting my bets, and at that time, the key when it seems like it's a exercise in futility, but when it becomes useful is when the it's when money's on the table. So you have money on the table, and that at that time, if I'm resetting, I make a crucial decision at the time as to whether I'm going to fight for that money, or whether I'm going to continue to risk for the money that I've earned. Okay, and if I continue to risk for the money that I've earned, I'm willing to surrender it. I will surrender it. I could lose it, the money that I've earned. Okay, so I'm choosing whether I'm going to fight or whether I'm willing to retreat. I'm sort of choosing whether or not to gamble it or not. Whether I want, and then once I rake it in, I'm going to fight for it. Okay, so that's the crucial decision. See, these are crucial decisions, and this is the key in how we can surf. That's where I'm thinking we're surfing now, and this is the only thing we're in control of. The only thing we're in control of, we cannot control the statistics with our bet selection. That's just how I'm saying it is. Because even if you do repeaters, what happens is your repeaters are going to miss for an extended period, and it's going to happen regularly. And you cannot out choose random, um, no matter what method you use. That's my current theory. So what it comes down to is what can we do? What is in our control? And I think what it comes down to is the amount we bet, and whether we're going to fight, whether we're going to attack, or whether we are going to retreat. And that's pretty much it. That's all that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and start just now that I've talked like so much and everything, I'll just demonstrate the facets of what I'm doing. So here's the progression, okay, and I'm just going to start monitoring what happens. Okay, that's the first thing. Intelligence is the key in the art of war. If you read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, you'll see that he gives a lot of credit to intelligence. Like we're spies, espionage. And that's what we're doing. We're just basically watching what's going on and being very aware of it. And so we're tracking the spins. Now we go up in the progression. Okay, so right now we're still within expectation. Expectation is 9.25. So we're still within that at 6. All right. Okay. No problem here. Here's 8. Okay. So up in the progression. So now I'm starting to get a little concerned, but here is expectation, basically right about here and the next spin. So this right here, expectation is like the very first thing that statistics will just totally ignore. Expectation is like the most unreliable thing there is, but it's a good benchmark so you know what's going on. Okay, we've exceeded expectation for a single hit. Okay, when it's going to get really serious, okay, there we go. Number 1 just hit on turn 12. Okay, and so here's the profit amount. We can see that we're down. Okay, so what this means is that um, first you have to make a decision. Am I going to fight or am I going to accept this loss? And my determinant here is, I think expectation is so unreliable, but we are obviously behind in expectation right now. It's been 9 spins, so it's only 6 spins before we're due again for another hit. Okay, and also look at the space in the 37. Okay, we've got a lot of space. 25 spins. Okay, dear goodness, that's almost 3 standard deviations, I guess. So yeah, we need to fight for this. Okay, so if we check our progression, we came in on spin 12. So here's 4. Um, here's 8 and 12. So we came in right here. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I'm just going to go back to 2. And because this did not, this was insufficient of a hit. So I'm not going to go all the way back. I'm going to, be a little bit aggressive in getting this, and I'm taking the risk. I'm saying, okay, in the next 25 spins, we're going to get a hit. Okay, and this was sort of an insufficient hit. I'm not going to just lay down and accept it. I'm going to be a little bit aggressive in getting it collected. So now we start our progression over. I'm going to start over. It's just an approximate. I'm going to start over right here. And so here we go. We should be getting hits here. Unless things go south. If things go south, that's fine. We'll deal with it once we see it. Okay, boom. Now that's a nice hit right there. So now I'm glad I was a little aggressive. So here we are, turn 15. And now we're at 51.67. Now, of course, that's an all-time high. Okay, our previous high was here. All right, but we're only on spin 15. What do we have here? We've got another 22 spins. I'm not going to abandon it now. No way. We're not even halfway through. Okay, but I am going to reset the chip level. Okay, and why is that? Because we're at an all-time high. I'm not about to go risking more. I want this progression to work for me. Okay, I need a hit here, and that's one of the best things about this progression. It's a 99. What is it? Point like 0.01% chance, or what was it? It's, let me see here. Gosh, golly jeepers. All right. Come on. Give me a break. Dear goodness, what's the comp going so slow for? All right. Yeah, 99.18%. Okay. So 99.18% chance of getting a hit. Now that hit is crucial, absolutely crucial, because and you know it's going to take 100 coups for this progression to fall out completely and get no hits within the progression. So that's very very important in this system is that we've got that very solid foundation on this progression. I like how it's only 484 units as well. You know, it's also very nice. It makes things easier when we're dealing with you know things. But so anyway, we're gonna get a hit here in 25 spins, and if not, we're gonna get a hit within this progression, and then we can deal with it. Okay, but I definitely expect a hit here. I'm most expecting the zero. I mean, I'd love. That's what I'm looking for is the zero to hit. Of course, we get a three hit. I'm not going to complain. So, anyway, let's get started, and we should be getting it. You see how this 15 to 37? I mean, there's a lot of space here. This is a gamble. I'm gambling this 5167 and this profit, and I'm willing to gamble it. I'm not going to fight for it. So here we go. Made that decision. So that's one. Oh wow! Now we have a hot number here. So this is now 5189. I love this. Statistically, this is like the best kind of hit you can get is a your number hitting again repeating. That still leaves the zero open. It's only spin 16. I'm definitely going with it. We're just going to start the progression over again and keep going forward. And you know, pretty soon we're going to close out this session. Okay, two. Okay, we should get a hit here before 37. We should definitely get a hit. Yeah, look at that. The zero came in. Okay, so now's the time. Now's about the time. So we have 5207. And that's going to be turn number 19. So yeah, you know, I'm starting to get a little bit, you know, like four hits, you know, and that's like 30 over 36, you know. So the expectation is not in our favor at this point, but it's the least reliable thing. We're closing in now on the 37. You know, we're over halfway. We have a very nice profit right here, 5207. Okay, and the uh, you know, it's we have our zero and our two hitting. Okay, both. So that's pretty much as far as I want to go. I've got pretty much achieved my end on this, and I don't want to go any further. So I'm going to reset everything. And at this point, the only decision that's being made. I mean, resetting my perspective on this 37 spin counter. That's gone. That's going to start over. But the real decision here is that I'm making the decision. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to capture it. I'm going to put this on my table and say this is mine. The roulette cannot have this. Okay, I'm gonna fight. So that's what I'm basically doing, making that decision. Okay, and then I just reset all the stats and I start all over. Okay, now that's basically how it works, and it seems like again an exercise in futility, but it really makes a difference when we change our perspective and we make these decisions. Now, what I need to show you is the difference is when I decide to retreat. And there's two types of retreat. There's retreat of existing profit where we give back. In other words, I may have won 100 units, but I risk and I say, okay, I think the statistics are going to give me a hit here soon, and I'm willing to risk the 100 units that I've already earned to get this hit. And then it doesn't come in, or it comes in late, and I end up with a 25 profit instead of 100. Well, I'm going to retreat off that profit. A lot of times we get stuck where we just go, "Oh no, I'm at the all-time high. I'm gonna fight for it." I think we should leave the money on the table. You know, and don't fight all the time. You know, consistently fighting for every unit. Fight, fight, fight. You know, that's I think that's dangerous. I think that's really dangerous. Game like roulette, especially, it's like no. So that's another thing. So that's a retreating. That's retreating. I'm saying, okay, I risked this 100 units. I'm not going to fight for it. I got 25. All right, I'm going to end my session because things didn't work out. I'm going to reset my perspective, and I'm going to take the 25 that I've earned, and I'm going to keep it. And yeah, it didn't work out. Okay, well, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm just going to be safe, be conservative, okay, and then reset my perspective and reset everything and move forward and fight for that 25 units. I'll put that in my pile and say, no, roulette can't have that. But the 100, the other 75, they can have. That's fine. It failed. I said there was something going to happen. It didn't happen. So the roulette gets that. The roulette gets to win that money. So that's a surrender. The other kind of surrender is when profit is where we lose money, where we actually don't get profit. We gamble, it doesn't work out, and we end up, um, yeah, we end up negative to some degree. We've lost this from instead of 5207, we're down to 5150 or something. Okay, so at that point, then I have okay, so I make the decision to retreat. Okay, in other words, I don't just raise up my chips and fight for it. Like being so aggressive. No, I'll retreat. I'll reset everything. I'll and I'll attack it fresh. At a higher level, I'll be a little more aggressive on the attack, but I'm going to start all the way over on the progression. I'm not going to be up here risking exposing myself. Okay, I'm going to start it over, and then I'm going to fight a little more aggressively to get that money back, and then that'll be level two in the debt level, like the recovery level 2, and then I'll start tracking that as if it was level 1. So then I'll start achieving all-time highs within the recovery level that I will fight for. And then if I happen to go to level 3, I'll see where I was at level 2, what I was fighting for, and I'll see that I need to get back to that. So this way I can keep track of what's going on, and pick my battles. And that's the other kind of retreating. So I mean that's pretty much the way the system works. I guess I'll just go through one more spin thing and just I hope that it just see what, if not to make it too long. So let's just see what happens if we can get some more, or maybe we can show an actual retreat where we lose money. So let's see what happens. The reason I'm recording this is, I mean, the reason I'm on this system, which I don't even like, is because it's what they call a rated game. So it's actually recorded by the site, and it's put on a high score list versus other players. And so that's why I'm on this board right now, because it's actually recording this game. It doesn't know I'm making a video or anything, but it records every spin, and it can be played back. So okay, so we just got profit. All right, now obviously we're on spin 3. It's a no-brainer. We're going to move forward on this, and we're going to risk this profit for more profit. So that's what we're going to do here, and we're tracking our spins. Oh wow, nice. So let's see. Everything's just going so well right now. All right, that is some serious profit, but heck, I am definitely risking it. I mean, we're gonna get a hit here, so we're doing awesome. It's a ton of space, wide open spaces, and I'm especially looking for the 0 to come. So 2, boom, and there it is. Everything just going exactly the way I like it. So we have 7, and yeah, it's very nice. Now, am I going to just wimp out here? No, 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 no. I got too much space. We have a great chance of getting repeater here, and of course number 3. And we got a lot of space in here. We're gonna get another hit. So I'm willing to risk. I'm making the decision to risk this. I'm not gonna fight for it if roulette comes for it. They can have it. I just want some of it. I don't want it to take it all. So anyway, we got plenty of space, 30 spins. So we're going for it. This is a nice progression system. So we're gonna utilize it. We should, we're definitely getting a hit here. So, and so it's all about these little decisions, and our perspective, changing our perspective, you know, and knowing when to be aggressive and when not to be. Okay, knowing when things are getting out of hand, watching, being aware, um, And that's what this spin counter really does. It keeps me aware of what's going on. When things get out of hand, I know because this number gets all big and close to 37, And let me see, 7 and 4 is 11, 4 is 15. So here we go. Last spin on this. Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, expectation, all right, not in our favor, but you know what? Gosh, expectation is like so unreliable. It really is. I got so much space. We're getting a hit here, so it's like I'm not even worried about it. Here's the halfway point. All right, there you go. Number one, and not the one I wanted, but let's see what happens. What are we looking at? We're on turn 18, and we're at 52.47. So, okay. Um, we did lose a little profit there off the 53, 52, 53. Um, yeah, this is one of those decisions, and this is where I will basically wimp out because we have two has hit already, zero has hit already. We're at the halfway point. Three. I don't know. I mean, do I really want to risk it? I mean, that's the thing. So I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to expose myself and try to fight and be aggressive over it. I'm going to take a small hit of 6 units and basically claim the rest for myself. Okay, the 40 units. I'm going to take the 40 units, claim it for myself, and the roulette can't have that. They can have the six. The roulette can have the 6 units. That's fine. I'm not going to die over 6 units when I can get 40. So see, that's a change in perspective. That's a retreating, knowing when to retreat, knowing when to attack. Eh, so that's as much as I'm going to bore you guys with. But I just thought I'd share what I was doing. I know it's weird. It's like, but I don't know. I think, I mean, sure, Mr. Perfect, Mr. J may have a thing about choosing numbers, and that's great. I want to hear about it. I want to learn about it. Okay? But for me, I'm going to keep it simple. Yep, very simple. So thanks for watching.